patiently. For the Lord, He heard my call. He lifted me from the miry pit.
Hey everybody, Dr. Kevin Truitt here. Welcome to Professorship and Class Organization at Next Dimension University. God bless you wherever you're watching this from and whatever time it is. I'm so sorry that I'm not able to be with you live today. I fully intended to be with you live today, but we're flying out to Europe today. It was supposed to be later in the afternoon. We were actually going to Dubai first. I have some leadership development appointments there or seminars that we're doing. We're taking 20 people with us as students from a Christian university out of Washington State are traveling with us. But because of the ongoing and growing friction in the Persian Gulf, airspace has been restricted. Our flights were rerouted, and ultimately we ended up canceling that part of our trip. So all of our plans had to be replanned, rescheduled, rerouted, and now we're flying to Paris first. Then after a couple days in Paris, we'll be flying to Berlin, Germany, where we'll be ministering there, doing some leadership development stuff there. We're actually doing the preparation for a church plant in Hamburg, Germany. And our flights all had to be changed. So now we're flying out in the morning. In fact, I'm in the air right now, probably as you're watching this. And so that's why I couldn't be live. And I am so sorry for that. But thankfully, God has given us the tools and the resources and the technology to get this done anyway. And I know you guys are excited. We're going to dive right in. So I want to thank everybody for their patience, for their understanding, as well as their flexibility. And I'm glad that we have the technology to get in front of you regardless of our conflicts. All right, so let's get started. We're in Professorship and Class Organization. This is Lecture 2 here at Next Dimension University. And I'm just glad that you're still with us, all right? By now, you should have already received the pre-class email. I know it was a little bit later getting to you, and that's because I had some technical glitches on my own and schedule conflicts that prevented me from fixing it right away. But you should have them now, and then the post-class email will follow directly after our normally scheduled class. All right, but we are in Lecture 2, and today we're going to talk about mastering digital communication and course infrastructure. When we're talking about professorship and class organization, this is a big piece of it. All right. In our first session, in our last lecture, we laid the theological and philosophical groundwork for Christian education, especially as it relates to Next Dimension University. You heard me talk about the 5 C's of tutelage and the importance of being prepared. But now we're going to transition away from the calling, I guess you can say. We're gonna kind of transition away from the why we teach, why we're studying to be professors and prepare to be professors. At least most of us, I think. And we're gonna now transition into the how. And today we're specifically focusing on the digital tools and the strategies that are vital for effective teaching in our online environment. All right. So Next Dimension University is built on actually leveraging technology. And I know that we've had some growing up to do in the area of technology. Dr. McLeod has talked about it even recently, how we're embracing more technology to make us better. And that's why we're doing it. So we're leveraging technology to extend our reach and enhance our learning experience. If you've been in my classes before, you know that I'm a champion of using technology to enhance our learning experience. So in this lecture, we're going to guide you through mastering pre-class communication, the strategies. We're going to set up your course infrastructure, and we're going to introduce tools that I use that you don't necessarily have to use, but I'm going to introduce you to the tools that I use as a use case to really design effective communications, design effective lectures, effective quizzes, and also foster community through online groups. And we're going to make technology an asset, not a barrier, not not a burden, okay? It's our pursuit of educational excellence. And we have technology to help us with that pursuit. All right, so let's get ready and let's dive into it. The first thing I want to talk to you about when we're talking about um, class structure and digital communication and infrastructure, I want to talk to you about strategic pre-class communication. And you know me, I try to get something out before class, every class, right? Hopefully on time. Like my goal and my plan is to get you something in your hands by Monday before class every time, right? Every single time. Because effective communication, it doesn't just happen, it's designed. And so I try to design a structure, design a uh, a a cycle, if you will, or a format, if you will. I try to design that. It has to be designed. And before your first live class, you have a very crucial window of time to engage your new students. Okay, so if you're a professor at Next Dimension University, you should be receiving the roster from Dr. Saucer. Once you have that roster, you'll have their name, you'll have their the class or the degree that they're going after, and you'll have their email address. And this is a perfect opportunity to communicate and engage your students to set the tone and make sure that they're prepared for the course that they're about to engage in. This requires a strategic approach to digital communication. So, what do we do? There's actually purpose behind scheduled emails. Okay. What can we do with scheduled emails? If you haven't thought about it, think about this. With scheduled emails, you can send reminders. You can send materials for preparation for the class. You can send discussion prompts. If you've been in my classes, you know that in my pre-class emails, you see a lot of that. I might give you, well, I always give you kind of a real high-level outline of what that class is going to be. All right, before you got into this class, there was a high level outline in the email before the class that told you what we're going to be learning. So you already know what I'm about to teach. Your mind is mentally prepared for what you're about to learn, and it helps you engage better. Okay, so we can actually schedule these emails like workhorses. They're going to be our almost, and I hesitate to use this term, but they're going to be like robots that don't need to be paid, don't need to be fed, and will work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, right? I can send you an email at any hour of the day, and my technology is going to make that happen, regardless of how tired I am, okay? So the technology doesn't really get tired. They don't have set hours, and we're going to use them like workhorses. And they really serve multiple purposes. Again, reminding the class of the upcoming class, right? We're going to remind our students that, hey, there's a class coming. I'll see you at 9 a.m. on tomorrow or on Saturday, right? So we get to remind them of upcoming classes. We get to direct them to essential materials that might prepare them by giving them something to read or something to look at or something to study ahead of time. We're going to give that to them before class. We're going to give them maybe videos. And I don't do a lot of this, but I could. I could give you a video to watch. Say, hey, watch this video before class, and your pre-class email gives you the highway or the path to getting them that information. So this is proactive engagement, and it primes their minds for and ensures that they arrive at your session ready and alive and ready to learn, all right, and ready to participate. So you might also consider what we call in the industry or in the technical industry is consider creating a drip campaign. What is a drip campaign? If you think about it, when you turn on your faucet, we had a lot of cold weather, and you have to let your faucets drip so that it doesn't freeze over, right? So what is a drip? A drip sends one little drop of water, and then uh, after just a little bit of time, the next drip drops, and then the next drip drops. So we call it a drip campaign where you will send a series of emails. Okay, you don't want to just dump it all on them at one time. You want to send a series. That first email, that first drip might be a welcome email, an introduction. Who are you? I'm Professor Dr. Kevin Truitt with Next Dimension University. Here's a little bit about me, right? And I tell them about my history and my ministry and what we do. And I kind of introduce myself. That's email number one, the first drip. Then the second drip might be a little reminder of what is about to come up, what the class is about. And maybe it's just to prime them and get them excited. It's drip number two. It's email number two. So you send them a reminder that you're excited to have them in class, and maybe it's some instruction about how to access the classes online, or how to access Kia, or how to access the notes, etc. Right? That second email, that second drip, will come at a later date and time. So I might send the first email on a Monday, the second drip or the second email on a Wednesday. Then we send out a final email or a final drip. Maybe this is a 3 drip campaign or a 3 email campaign. And that final one is just a technical check, one final check. Hey, I'm looking forward to being in class with you tomorrow. Just as a reminder, you should have downloaded the syllabus right here. You click a link, you add a link to the email, and it's easy access for them, right? You don't have to do any kind of individual emails. You send it to everybody, all your entire class in one shot. You send it to them, right? So this is a called a drip email campaign. All right. And then that just leads to tools like email automation, right? A drip is automated. You don't have to press the button on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. You automate it. Now, I use a tool called Tekmatix. That's the platform I use. Tekmatix was built on another global platform called Go High Level. Many online schools, online businesses, they use this technology and this format or this platform, right? But you probably have heard of other tools that you can use. You don't have to use Tekmatix. There's other email tools that will allow you to automate your emails, like MailChimp. You might have a platform that is a CRM, which is a management tool for your customers or your students, or whatever you want to call it. It integrates a CRM, and CRMs can oftentimes set up these email automations for you. So you don't have to manually write out. If you have 30 people in your class, you don't have to write out that email 30 times. You don't even have to copy and paste it 30 times. You just set it up in your email automation tool, and you hit the button once and you schedule it. So you don't even have to hit the button every time. You just schedule it, hit the button once, and it'll go when you tell it to go. All right. For more advanced marketing, you can use the CRM tool. I'm not going to get much into that, but that stands for customer relationship management. But I'm not trying to talk that language today. That's for marketing, for online businesses, and that sort of thing. If you're trying to acquire more customers, or in this case, more students, then you might use a CRM. So that way, when they click a link or they fill out a form, that you've got their information, they go into a flow, which we'll talk about later, and it automatically sends out emails. That's a little bit more advanced. You might be like, okay, this is already way over my head. Listen, hang in with me. I'm going to make it very simple. I'm not trying to get over your head, but we are going to talk about certain tools, because some of you would like to use these tools, and I'm going to train you on how to use them. Some of you might just want to keep it old school and make it simple and just send out one email and blind copy everybody. You can do that too. There's multiple ways to do that. But right now we're talking about the concepts of organization, the concepts of preparation, the concepts of class infrastructure. All right. So please don't think that I'm just trying to make you do it a certain way that's very complex and beyond you. I'm not trying to do that at all. We're going to simplify this, but I do want to introduce you to the concept of excellence in our course design, excellence in our communications, excellence in our organization. And I have a long ways to go. I'm still working on myself. So pray for me. All right. So we talked about that email automation. Let's also talk about how to craft effective emails, right? Or at the very least, how about the subject line? Let me ask you something. When you see your email, some of you get maybe hundreds of emails in a day. Okay. Maybe 90% of them is junk mail, and you know it, right? You know it. And you can tell when you read the subject line. Okay. When you read the subject line, you already know whether you want to open that email or not. Okay. There's many times where you read the subject email or the email subject line and you just toss it. You delete it or you ignore it. If I could tell you how many emails I have, I'll just tell you. I'm not ashamed. There's no shame in my game. I'm transparent. I will tell you how many unopened emails I have currently right now in just one email box, okay? Currently I have 58,225 unopened emails. Now I'm wondering why I'm telling you this, but I'm just being transparent. There are going to be times where you're not going to open an email because of what the subject line says. I have 58,225 emails unread. Now, why are those unread? Because the subject line didn't entice me enough to click open. In fact, it might have deterred me, right? It might have told me, don't open that. It's just a sales pitch. They're just trying to get you to buy something, or it's a bunch of junk email. The subject line told me that, okay? The subject line. So, how do we craft an effective subject line to make sure that our students open up our emails? All right. So, the best scheduled emails, they're going to be useless if nobody ever opens them, or if they're not appealing enough, right? So we want to craft clear, concise, and engaging subject lines. For example, if you know you're in class or you know you're taking this course, it might say, "Welcome to Professorship and Class Organization." Now, I hope that you would open that email because it's directly related to something that you're engaging right now actively. And it might have information that you need for class. So I would include that in the subject line to make sure you opened it. To make sure you opened it, right? I might do a subject line like reminder, lecture one, prep and resources. And that's it. I'm not gonna to fluff it up with a bunch of other stuff. It's just gonna say lecture one, prep and resources. And you're like, oh shoot, I better open that. I need that preparation. I need those resources, right? Another example might be in the subject like question for class. The significance of Genesis. Question for class. The significant for Genesis. Now, if you're a Genesis buff or a history buff, you're going to open that because you already know, okay, we're engaging in some conversation and there's a question to the entire class about Genesis. I happen to know about Genesis, so I want to maybe answer that question. Or I might want to know more about Genesis, so I'm going to answer that and I'm going to open that email. All right. So that's crafting effective subject lines. You don't want it to be boring, you don't want it to be over salesy, and you want to make sure that something in that subject line connects with the reader and about something that they either need or that they're engaging right now. Make sure they can connect and relate to it. If it's off topic or something that has nothing to do with the class, they might not even open it. They might not even open it, right? For this class, professorship and class organization, I could have prepped you with an email about technology. And I might have put in the title, technology you can use today. And you might not open that because you think it's some kind of Microsoft company or Meta company or Apple company trying to sell you technology that you can use today. You're like, I got enough technology, I don't want anything else. And you don't even open it. Why? Because it didn't say anything about Next Dimension University. It didn't have my name in it. It didn't talk about our class. There was nothing to connect. So in crafting effective subject lines and content, you want to make sure that you connect with your reader. Does that make sense? Make sure that whatever you're throwing out there, they're picking it up and going, "Oh yeah. Oh yeah." And you want to make sure there's an aha moment that makes them push the button and open that email, all right? All right, let's talk about the body as well. The body of the email should be scannable, like use bullet points, clear calls to action, and a professional yet warm tone. You should always include necessary links and contact information. And remember, clarity is kindness when we're talking about email language. All right. Clarity is kindness. You're being kind to your reader when you're clear. If they have to work to understand your email, that's not kind. In fact, that's rude. In fact, that's kind of cruel. Like, I'm going to send you a vague email and I want you to kind of interpret it on your own and hope that you understand what I'm trying to say. No, let's just make it as simple as possible, as clear as possible, as clean as possible. Bullet points, right? Highlight what are is important. Like, you'll see in my emails, I'm going to bold certain words that I need you to see. If you didn't read the whole thing, that's fine as long as you read the bolded ones, right? So I want your eyes to be drawn to certain highlighted things, and then hopefully you'll read between the lines and you'll get all the information that you need. So, crafting effective subject lines, crafting effective content, not overdoing it. Listen, when you send me an email, what I don't need is 3 pages of information. What I need is a highlight, get to the point, and let's have a call to action, right? Let's get to the point. And otherwise, I'm gonna not have 58,225 emails unread. I'm going to have 58,226 emails unread, right? Because it's just too much. It's too much. And we want to make sure that we give them something simple. What I like to do is write an email in such a way that they can literally just scan it on their phone. They get a notification, they can click it real quick, and in 2 seconds, they've already got the gist of what that email is trying to tell them, right? Now, before you throw something at me, I get it, I know. You've got lots of emails from me and they're not all that short. I understand that. I understand that. I got to practice what I preach, practice what I teach. But I'm giving you some good stuff right here if you want to be successful in organization and communication. All right. So I'm going to do better. I'm going to do better, right? I'm going to try to practice what I teach. I want that to be warm. I want it to be concise. I want it to be to the point with a simple call to action. All right. So let's talk about building your online class home, right? So in my courses, you'll have a couple of opportunities. You have the community or the online course community. So in that course community, you've seen me share um, announcements. You've seen me share materials. You've seen it's an opportunity for the entire student body to chat and ask questions, and we can answer and respond, and we can collaborate, right? This is an online course community, which really helps, especially when we're not in a physical classroom every day, right? We only see each other once every 2 weeks or twice a month at best. And there's no community. When there's no community, you feel like you're on your own, you're by yourself. So I always like to build a course community. Not everybody will engage, and that's okay. But if you want to, you can. And if you want to engage me, this is the best way to do it, right? Write a note, ask a question of me, and I will get a notification that you did that, and I will do my best to answer in a timely fashion. Now, it's not fair to you that I travel as much as I do and I don't always see my notifications because I'm either on a plane or in a seminar or something, and I apologize for that, but I try to do my best and I hope that you would too. Let's build a course community and I'll show you how to do that, okay? I'll give you some tools. Again, I use Tekmatix. Tekmatix is one big platform that anybody can use. I believe I shared with you in the last lecture, I have a global account. I pay as much as you possibly can pay for their platform. So I can actually create additional platforms for you and we could white label that. What does that mean? What does white label mean? It means you can take a piece of software that might say otherwise, it might say Apple, or it might say Microsoft, or it might say Google, right? But you take that same software and you replace it with Next Dimension University or your ministry, right? That's called white labeling, when you can use my software but put your name on it so other people can see that it is you, right? It's not Microsoft. It's not Dr. Kevin Truitt. It's you. It's you, right? That's called white labeling. And there is a cost to that, but it is available. It is available. So when you go to my course community, you don't see any branding from any other company but mine. It's my ministry, my company, my school, right? Or it's Next Dimension University. Of course, in this case, I've branded most everything either my ministry or Next Dimension University or both, right? Because I partner with Dr. McLeod and Next Dimension University, so we just kind of merge them together in my platform. But we can create another platform just for you so that your students will be able to access you, right? So I use Tekmatix to do that, and I want to just deep dive a little bit more into that platform. If you're interested, I can share more with you, and we can do a training specifically for that. But as a use case for this course, I want to share with you what I do with Tekmatix. It doesn't mean you have to use Tekmatix. It doesn't even mean you have to do any of this, but I want to share with you what I do in order to accomplish organization and communication excellence. So I use Tekmatix as the central hub for your course, the course that you're in right now. It's where student accesses materials. You can access assignments. You can access chat groups. You can access the Q&A. Everything is accessible through a platform that I've built using Tekmatix. All right. It kind of simplifies the learning journey for your students, and it streamlines some of the administrative tasks like that automation. I don't use MailChimp, I use my platform. And I'm able to create a workflow. We'll call it a workflow. It's a workflow that automates the emails. It sends those drip emails, right? So for this course, I already have much of the automation built out for the entire 6 lectures, for the entire course. Okay. I did it ahead of time. I prepared. And I did it in advance. Why? Because you never know when we're going to fall into a situation like we are today, where all of a sudden, unexpectedly, I'm on an airplane and I'm not in class with you. So, but it doesn't prevent you from getting the materials and being able to access those materials. And so we just continue on. No harm, no foul. Let's get it done, right? No excuses. So this platform allows us to do that, right? So what do? I set up what we call course modules and lessons. This is pretty trendy right now. There's a lot of online schools today and online learning platforms. You can create a digital class. You can create digital materials. You can create um, a digital course, and you can sell them online. So in the context of today's class, I create what we call course modules. So not only are we meeting live, but directly following our live class, all of the materials, including the video, goes into my platform, and we have an online school or an online course for you, right? So when you look at that online course, you will see modules and you will see lessons, okay? Think of modules as chapters in a book, and lessons are the sections within those chapters. Okay. You can design chapters and modules. Now, in this case, I've only done, I believe, modules, or maybe it's only lessons, because we don't need both. We're not breaking it down like that, because it's one lecture, then the next lecture, then the next lecture. We don't have one chapter and then 3 lectures and then another chapter and 3 lectures. We don't do it that way, but you can. All right. But in this case, at Next Dimension University, we have 6 lectures. That creates the rotation that we're in. Okay, you have the winter rotation, you have the spring rotation, you have the summer rotation, you have the fall rotation. Each one of those rotations has a number of courses designed with 6 lectures, right? So we meet 6 times, twice a month for 3 months. That's a rotation. So we're going to create a course online with 6 lectures that are accessible through this digital platform. So again, if you wanted to break it down even more specific, you can have modules. So that would be like today's module would be mastering digital communication and course infrastructure. Now that might have 3 different lessons, right? maybe each lesson is 45 minutes to an hour, and we do three of them. So you would have a module, which is mastering digital communication and course infrastructure. Then you would have three lessons. We already did one lesson, strategic pre-class communication. That would be lesson one under module one. And then we just went into building your online class home. That would be lesson two in module one. So we're talking about modules and lessons, all right? You have to organize your course content logically, and it should mirror your syllabus. When you write your syllabus, you organize that syllabus. You go through a proper flow, making sure that it's understandable, that it makes sense, that by the time they're done with that syllabus, they know exactly what they're going to learn. When you create your modules and lessons, it should mirror that, right? It should mirror that. I want you to go to my syllabus that I gave you before this course started. You will look at that syllabus and it has an outline. What I'm teaching you right now mirrors that outline, okay? So again, we set up courses with modules and lessons, modules and lessons. And this systematic approach will help your students navigate the course with very little effort, and they'll understand the flow of the information. It makes sense, right? Last time we were together, we talked about the why. Well, this time we're talking about the how. Okay, now I know why I'm going to do it. Now tell me how I'm going to do it. And that's what we're doing today. All right, we're going to integrate resources. So in our platform, in our online course, we're going to integrate our resources. What are our resources? The resource is going to be the syllabus. You can go into our online class right now and download the syllabus. If you didn't know where it was, it's in our online class in a couple different locations. In our online community, I've put a link there for you to download the class, or at least a link to go to the online class so you can download the resources, right? So we're going to upload the essential documents like the syllabus, any required reading. If it's an online reading, you would upload the link or provide the link. Any supplemental articles, if you have articles that you want them to read prior to class, and any pre-recorded videos like a welcome message or something that you want them to watch prior to starting the course. All of this can be integrated resources into your online class, which is what we do right now. In this class, Professorship and Class Organization, you can go to last week's class and you can download the notes, the full notes, not the highlights, but the full notes. And I appreciate one of our scholars had pointed out that I had the wrong notes uploaded. So what happened was, if I could just break it down, I use the same template for every course, and I had forgotten. I saw that there was already a syllabus and lesson notes in all of my classes, but I forgot they weren't the ones that I uploaded this time. They were the ones that I uploaded last time. So if you go to this class, you might have found digital ministry, the notes for digital ministry. It's been corrected since, so I need to correct the rest of them, but they'll be corrected before you can go there and try. But I want to thank the scholar that brought that to my attention. Thank you very much. So we're going to integrate these resources, and this platform that I use that I can extend to you will allow you to embed videos. That's how you're going to watch this later if you want to. You can embed the video. You can link to external resources. You can upload PDFs, and you can ensure that all the resources are clearly labeled and accessible. Basically, consider it a central course resources module, and that's often helpful to your students to keep them organized, right? Oh, I can't remember. What was I supposed to do? Oh, let me go back, click the link, boom, there it is, right? So we're going to utilize this platform for announcements, for grading, right? How do we use it for announcements? That's what the course community is. That's built on my platform. The only thing that's not on my platform is the grading. That's in Kia, and I'm still learning and working how to marry those two. So there's some delays, there's a lack of communication between the two platforms, but we are working on that, and hopefully we'll get that resolved real soon. But beyond content delivery, the platform that you use it's going to be important that it can handle the communication and assessments. Use the community to make announcements. You guys all saw the announcement last night when I did it. when I was announcing that I was going to be on a plane, you got that in the course community. Now, you might not have seen it, you might not have got the notification, but it was there, and hopefully, we're all getting those notifications and we're seeing that those announcements. All right, you should go check that community every once in a while to just to see if there was anything you missed. I do that every once in a while. I do miss notifications. I go in there, and one of you have asked a question, and that was a day ago. So I apologize for the delay, but we go in there and we have access to all of this, and it's a good way to stay organized and keep the community alive and engaging. All right. So we're going to utilize the platform for announcements and announcing important updates, schedule changes, and sometimes I like to use it just to encourage everybody. I just want to encourage everybody. Let's encourage one another, encourage your fellow students, your fellow scholars. All right. And it's a good use of the tool. It's a good use of the tool. Also, I love to get the feedback from my scholars, right? From my students. You can give me feedback. There's actually a channel that I created specifically to ask questions or submit any kind of suggestions or comments. I want that feedback. Why? Because we're trying to be better. We're trying to be excellent at what we do. And it takes a village. It takes all of us, right? I don't know what I'm doing wrong if you don't tell me that it was wrong. I didn't know that I uploaded the wrong notes, except that someone told me I uploaded the wrong notes. So I need that feedback so that I can improve myself. All right. All right. Let's go to the next lesson, if you will, in this module for today. And it's called Developing Engaging Quizzes and Assessments. Let's talk about developing engaging quizzes and assessments. Quizzes and assessments are more than just tests. I'm not just trying to test everybody. I'm not just trying to test you. And if that were true, then it'd be really sad because my quizzes are pretty easy. I mean, you might not agree. Some of you would agree if you've been in multiple classes of mine, my quizzes are pretty simple, pretty easy. So it's not just for testing, right? It really helps you assess your understanding, yourself. It helps you self-assess your own understanding. When you look at my answers, like, oh yeah, that's obvious, right? Okay, so now you know that information. You know that information. I'm not trying to trick you. I'm not trying to give you trick answers. There's no point in that. What I want you to do is remember that you know the answer. What is that answer? It's B. Why? Well, for a couple reasons. One, I know it's not that. Okay, it might be obvious. And you're like, well, why do you put such obvious things? Because it helps you realize that you actually do know more than you think. Okay, I know that's not the answer. Okay. Do you know this isn't the answer? Do you know this isn't the answer? And if you know those three things aren't the answer, you might know what the answer is. So it helps refresh. And even if that answer or that question is so simple that he's like, well, it was an obvious answer. Okay, well, then I'm glad to know you know the obvious answer. You knew the obvious answer, but also the repetition. So these quizzes aren't just to test, it's to repeat, 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 right? What does Dr. McLeod always talk about? It talks about repeating, repeating, and then regurgitating, regurgitating. So these quizzes are just another method to repeat, 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 regurgitate, repeat, regurgitate, right? So that's what these quizzes are for. And we can help students understand how much they actually know. We can also highlight areas where they really need to further study or encourage their active recall. Like, listen, I want you to look it up. This isn't even a closed book test. I'm not trying to make it hard on you. Open it up. Get the notes out. Why? Because if you're looking for an answer, you have to read paragraph one to see if the answer is in paragraph one. And if it's not, okay, no harm, no foul, but you just read paragraph one again, and that's repeating, right? You got to look into paragraph two. Is the answer in paragraph two? Nope, but you just repeated paragraph two. Paragraph three, oh, there's the answer. Great, you found the answer. Now you repeated that answer, right? And we're going to continue to do this 10 times because there's 10 questions. So it's repetition, repetition, and regurgitation. This is how I design my quizzes. Not every professor does it, and not everybody is required to do it that way or required to do it another way. At the end of the course, I might make you write one paper, and that's so you can regurgitate all that you've learned. All right. So quizzes and learning. It's not just for evaluation, it's for recall, repeat, and regurgitate. All right, regurgitate. I also allow them to make multiple attempts, right? If you get a bad score on the first one, go back and do it again. Get a better score. Why do I allow that? Why do I allow that? It's because if you got a 70%, you're like, that's not good enough. I need to go back and find out what I did wrong. Then go and answer them again. What does that do? It just repeats again. You just have to repeat it again. You have to, if you're going to repeat the quiz, you got to go in and you got to take that again. Question one. Okay, you got it again. That's repeating. Question two, you got it again. That's repeating. Question three, oh, you got that one wrong. Let's repeat and get the right one, right? So that's why I allow multiple attempts. So, what are some tools you can use for quizzes and creation? My platform allows quizzes. We don't use my platform for quizzes because I'm trying to integrate Next Dimension University's preferred method, which is Kia. So I use Kia for that reason, and it allows you to go in and check your scores and all of that. Again, I need to improve the communication between what we're doing and Kia, and we will get there. I promise you, we'll get there. But there's lots of tools. You can even go in to Google and you can create a Google form. If you have a Gmail, then you have access to Google Forms, and you can create a quiz using Google Forms, and you just design it yourself. And it's a drag and drop. You can go into Google and create a form, drag a question. You can decide what kind of question. Is it a multiple choice question? Is it a text? What do they call it? Is it a paragraph that you have to write, whatever it is, you pull that over. Is it multiple choice? You pull that over. It's very simple, and then you add their options, and then you tell the form what the correct option is. So you can use Google Forms. There's a company called Typeform. You can Google that. Now that's not free. They might have a free version, but if you really want to get complex, they have upgrades that you can do. It's called Typeform. So you got Typeform, you got Google Forms. You can Google quizzes online. There's lots of them. You can use my platform. You can use Kia, but there are many different tools for quiz creation that you can choose from. Some of them are a little bit more complex. Some of them are really simple. But there are lots of tools that you can use, and I would highly recommend that you use them. Now, if you're going to be teaching for Next Dimension University, then talk to myself or talk to Dr. Saucer about how you can get a Kia membership. So that way you can start creating the same type of tool in the same type of tools that the rest of our professors are using. And then there's some continuity, right? But there you go. Let's talk about implementing diverse question types. So you don't have to limit yourself. I do it for the sake of time. I use all multiple choice, or sometimes I'll do multiple choice and a couple of um, quiz where you have to write a paragraph or you have to explain it, right? But you can incorporate questions that require critical thinking. You can incorporate application of principles. You can incorporate multiple choice or synthesis of information. It's all up to you how you want to do that. But short learning and short answer questions, brief theological reflections, all of that is available to you and an option when designing a diverse quiz. I like to add the recap. So we don't have enough time for everybody to give their recaps here in class. So, but I want everybody's recap. So it's part of your requirement. When you take the quiz, you have to give me a recap. It's, I think, worth 20 points. So you don't want to miss that. If you miss that, you won't be passing that quiz. So you want to make sure that you give that recap, and that's an option to do. So varying question types keeps the students engaged, and it keeps them on their toes. But what I'm trying to get at is that you have these opportunities to coach your scholars and students into repetition and lead them into repetition and regurgitation. So the quiz isn't to say, "Hey, gotcha. See, I knew you didn't study hard enough." I'm not doing my quizzes is part of your study. That's how we design it. It's so you have to study again and then again and then again. Now in the final, you'll regurgitate what you've learned, and it's pretty simple. All right. Let's go to fostering community with online groups. We talked about that a little bit above in the technology side, but it's one of the greatest challenges and one of the greatest opportunities in online education is building some sense of community. Since you're not in a brick and mortar, you don't get to hang out and have lunch together. Um, we have to be intentional. We have to intentionally put effort and create a vibrant, supportive learning environment where students connect with each other and with the material. And I'm going to have a off-site or an offline course, or I should say, just outside of this rotation, I'll make it available where we can talk about how to do that. How do we actually create these communities with creativity, with vibrance, with engagement? And there's a few things I want to talk to you about in it today, right? So make sure there's purpose and benefits of your groups. So what is the purpose and benefit of our group in professorship and class organization? If you were to go there right now, you would actually see the purpose, right? There's some tabs across the top, which is your navigation on the top, and it says discussion, learning, events, leaderboard, members, and about. Most importantly, discussion. So it's kind of like a Facebook group or an Instagram chat. You can post things there. Everybody can see it, right? But I've taken it a step further. On the left side, you have more purpose and you've got a navigation bar on the left. The first navigation is announcements. That's the purpose, right? If I have an announcement to make, like, hey, I'm not going to be live in class tomorrow, but I want you to watch the class video, that's an announcement I have to make. And that's the announcement you read. And that's the purpose of online community. How else am I going to get that information out? I'm not going to make 30 phone calls tonight, right? As much as I love you, I can't make 30 phone calls tonight. And I don't want to send out 30 emails. So I'm going to push the button once right here and make the announcement to everybody. Or it's going to be in the pre-class email. So announcements. The second one is assignments. If you click on assignments, it's a message from me that kind of helps you stay organized and it tells you what to look for and if you want to know what the assignment is. Um, it also allows you to ask questions in that channel specific to the assignment. So, Scholar Schofield, thank you so much. Schofield got into our online community, which I appreciate because now everybody gets to benefit from her question. And she said, good afternoon. I want to get the notes from lecture one. However, the notes are listed in the files, or I'm sorry, the notes that are listed in the files are from digital ministry class. Can you please provide the lecture notes from class? So this was a perfect opportunity. She didn't have to pick up the phone and call me personally. She didn't have to send me an email, although she did, and she's welcome to. But this was an online forum there where our entire class could benefit. Oh, I didn't realize that. Let me go take a look and now I can download it. Or some of you might have already discovered that, but you didn't take the time to post in our online community. No shame on you. I'm just saying some people didn't do that. And so none of us knew that was broken. So this is the purpose of our online community. You can click on assignments and see those assignments and also discuss it. The third tab is lectures online. You click on that and you're going to see messages from me regarding the actual lectures online. So after the lecture is posted, you'll get to see that here in the online community. You can click a link and you're there. The other one is Q&A. Again, do you have questions about the course? Do you have comments, suggestions? This is the forum and this is the purpose. We also have a channel called recommendations. If you have a recommendation for the class, put it in there. Currently, there's no post there, but if you do have a recommendation, I encourage you to post right there because I'm all ears. I added a new channel called Email Archives. Some get into the class late, so they missed all the original emails that were automated, and it's difficult to get them those emails. So I went ahead and started posting the emails here. So anytime you missed an email, you can go to Email Archives. That's the purpose of this online community, so you can catch up on all the emails. And then finally, I put one bonus channel called Faith Toolbox. Many of you are using my Faith Toolbox now in your studies, in your preparation, in all of that. And so I just put that channel there. So if you have a question about it, or if I have an announcement about it, you're in the community to see that. All right. So that's the purpose and benefit of these groups. Again, I'm using my own platform to do that. I would gladly share this platform with you, but there's also communities like Discord. You can set up your own community in Discord or Slack or even Facebook. You can set up a Facebook group, invite everybody to to that Facebook group, and they'll be notified when you post. All right. So there is purpose and benefits to a private group class. I would highly recommend it when you're teaching a course that you set that online community up, especially if you're not teaching in a brick and mortar environment. All right. Let's talk about moderation and engagement strategies. So simply creating a group is not always enough. It needs active moderation and intentional engagement. I'm not just trying to overstimulate you and give you an abundance of stuff that you just have to read every time. I'm not trying to do that. But as the professor, I want to regularly participate with you and engage. I want to ask open-ended questions. I want to affirm your thoughtful contributions, and I want to gently guide the discussion. So I use the online community to do that. But it also allows me to set clear guidelines for respectful communication and encourage students to introduce themselves and share your own personal reflections. Again, not everybody does that. Maybe not everybody has time to do that, but is definitely available, and the opportunity is there to build community. Who knows? You might build a friendship and a relationship that lasts a lifetime, and who knows? You might actually minister together. Our associate professor today is Dr. Cornell Brunson. We connected years ago, and now we've traveled the world together. So I just appreciate the opportunity. Or when I say travel the world, we're ministering around the globe together, right? He was a big part of what we're doing in Africa, and hopefully one day he'll be with me in Africa. Um, so we get to participate and engage in a community environment where you might actually create long-lasting relationships that would help build the kingdom and build new partnerships. All right. We're also utilizing groups for peer learning and discussion. I kind of already talked about this, but let's leverage these groups for structured activities. Assign students. One of our classes last rotation in digital ministry, part of their assignment was to actually do their assignment by creating a devotional and posting it in our community for all of us to take advantage of or to benefit from. So we're going to do now peer learning. So now we can comment on that assignment. So you post your assignment or your student posts their assignment. The rest of the class gets to engage in that by commenting or giving feedback or encouraging the scholar who posted that. So it's a great utilization of an online community and using that tool. And these type of activities will transform a group from being passive to active learning. We don't want them to just be passive. We want them to be actively learning. And this will deepen their understanding and build their vital connections within the community, not just in my class, but also throughout Next Dimension University. So I want you to think about your next course, and if you were to teach a course, what would you do? And I want you to map out a sequence of at least 3 pre-class communications. What would you schedule? What would you communicate? You want to note their purpose and the timing. Then I want you to log it and explore the options. Like, what are you going to do for a quiz and question types? These are practical applications if you're going to be teaching. And I'll be sending you a message or a communication about what I'd like you to try to do. And we're going to share that in our community. But what did we go over today? Well, we went over pre-class communication and the importance of it, how to use scheduled emails and why we should use scheduled emails. We talked about how essential it is for setting expectations and preparing your students. This is through the pre-class emails, right? We talked about course management and what that looks like, organizing your content and your announcements and how to grade properly. We talked about the content of your emails. We talked about the subject line and how important that is in order to get them to open your email, right? We also talked about the importance of quizzes and how it's not always just to test what they know, but it's designed as a learning tool itself. Quizzes are designed as a learning tool to repeat, 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 and regurgitate, and utilizing different question types so that they can engage even deeper. And then we also talked finally about the online groups and creating an online community and how invaluable they are to fostering community, building friendships and relationships, peer learning, and also ongoing discussions. So that's what we talked about today. And right after this course, you can access the quiz. It's already in there. You should have already got a post email. Well, maybe not, because actually I limited this class to about an hour, and it should be in your, if it's not in your inbox already, it should be in the next 15 minutes. All right. Remember, when you take your quiz, you're going to give me a class recap. We've got more to learn in regards to organization of your course, your content, your emails, your engagement, all of that. And next week, we're going to talk about crafting your engaging content. And we'll even get a little bit more using my toolbox, or the Faith Toolbox, as a case study on how to leverage technology to build engaging content. All right, that's all next time we come together. And that's about it. So I appreciate your patience. Again, I apologize for not being live with you. I hope you got something out of this class, even though it was online, even though it was via video. I hope you took something away and you were taking notes. If not, you can still do that. You can follow up. You can watch this video again, take some notes, and use some practical application, which I'll talk about in your email. All right, God bless you. Again, I'm in an airplane right now on my way to Paris. Pray for us. We'll be engaging in Paris for a couple days, then going to Berlin, Germany for a few days, then going to Hamburg, Germany, and we're taking students with us to engage. We'll actually be leading worship right at the Berlin gate, where the wall of Berlin was, at the gate square. And we're super excited. I hope you'll be praying for us. In other news, we'll also be right back. As soon as I get back, I'll be on a plane. I have meetings in Chicago, and then I'm going straight from Chicago to Ontario, where I will see you there for our General Assembly. I'm super excited about our Scholar Takeover. If you haven't seen the news, get on Facebook, look up Dr. McLeod. You'll be hearing about it, and I hope to see you there. All right. God bless everybody. I love you, and I'm praying for you. Pray for me, and we'll see you soon. Have a great afternoon.
Rejoice in the Lord. Sing a new song. Sing. For his mercy and love are ever strong. The earth stands firm by his command. All creation rests in his hand. Oh, he blesses the people.